Well, welcome to my stream, once I set up the camera. So my general idea is... Oh my days. Well, how's that the start of the first stream? Really, I should give you a bit of a background, more than anything else. I really enjoy doing virtual photography, and I've been streaming this game on Twitch for the longest time, actually. I think I started back in October, and it is such a striking game. The soundtrack is beautiful, the game is beautiful, like graphically, as you will see. I have actually completed it, and I think this game unfairly was criticised for being a Amazon simulator. And although I can see where people are coming from, they didn't give it enough of a chance. This is very much like a Charles Dickens book, in that a large part of what you'll read in those books is building characters, and then it really kicks off, and this game was so very true to it. So I would like to just say to you guys, give it a try. You know, stick with it. It's an adventure game. You know, you have missions you need to do. There are locations and you need to unlock and stuff like that. But the reason it's an adventure is there's no set road. You choose your own paths. One other thing to make you aware of is this is the completed game. I am purely using this as a tool to practice landscape photography, because it's not something I get to do out in the wild too often, and a lot of the games that I play don't tend to feature these kinds of landscapes. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, another great example. Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 are also great choices. But I've chosen this one simply because I've completed it. There shouldn't be too many enemies around, and there's a lot that I haven't explored. So, although I always feel bad doing it to poor Sam, because trust me, this guy's been through a lot. But it wouldn't be much of a stream if I let a man just lie there. So let's get him up. Let's get rid of some of this stuff on his back, because I really don't need it. Or at least I shouldn't need it. Let's have a look what I have first. Thinking about it. We'll go to private locker. So that's recyclable. Boots, you do need boots. Especially with the amount of walking I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to get rid of the quadruple rocket launchers. I don't need the grenades. Hematics I will keep because they are always useful. And I don't need resin. So that can all go... Oh. Right. Okay. So I do need to grab these. Stick them on my back. Yeah, that's the private locker. So these, that. Oh no. Carry on back. Then on back, I don't need assault rifle, any of these. Don't need the resin, so I don't know why I picked that up. I don't need that. So these can go in the private locker. And I'll confirm that. And you may be thinking, well, you just said you're going to unload. But no, this stuff's all used. So I'm just going to recycle it. Because that's always best practice. I'm still not happy with this camera, you know. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a particularly stunning guy, but, you know, being the entertainer, I have to at least feature somewhat in the image. Right, so that is a little bit more bearable. The child in me has a cunning plan. So I just need to build something, and then I'm going to show you the world that is Death Stranding. You need to play this game. You, just that story, absolutely amazing. So I'm going to fabricate equipment, if I can remember where it is. This is it, floating carrier. Load on back, let's just auto arrange. Cool, let's start our journey.
Thank you for your contribution.
So these first few streams are mainly going to be just photography.
Have a pleasant journey.
Yeah, I've spent my last few streams, well, quite a few streams, working my way through computer games, randomly taking photos along the way, and even though very enjoyable, I wanted to introduce you to virtual photography, or how I approach it, if it's not something you're aware of. And it also gives me an opportunity, as I said earlier, to explore places I just never went to as well. One thing that did disappoint me, I never got to take those. And there's some even bigger vehicles that I never got to take as well.
Have a pleasant journey.
But that's more a personal thing than anything else. A personal preference, I should say. It is a great game. And
Weapons restrictions lifted.
as you can see, the landscapes, the textures, the plants, it's just absolutely astounding. And being that this is a fully completed game, there is an awful lot of structures that people have built. Some of them I did. None of these here, but the roads I tend to do quite a few. And there are a few bridges. If I had a bike, I would attempt... I don't know if you can see it, actually. This. Now, this thing here would guarantee your bike would be destroyed. But, oh my gosh, what a ride. And it's kind of cool, actually. I hadn't noticed. Because I was generally taking a quick shot in the middle of the action, but this hasn't loaded properly. Because I believe this was a PS4 game, so that would explain it. Because one of the things I was going to recommend is using the zooms to crop instead of doing the crop after the photo, because the game renders it like this. You know, if you did this in Photoshop, you would lose some quality most likely. So using the in-game zoom is always a good idea. Now what I'm thinking of doing is setting that up in the middle. Kind of a yin and yang photo. I mean, I don't believe I'm actually going to take this shot, if I'm honest. But it's kind of a nice idea. Problem is we've got Sam's backpack in the picture. But yeah, you can do contrast shots and things like that in photography, but this is a landscape one. Which is ironic, because there will be some times where I actually take portrait shots. So I'm just going to move to the side. Another thing that you can do, actually, is just take Sam out of the picture, because even though he's great, and I may use him for scale at times, or just to make it a more dramatic picture, the main thing I'm interested here is this waterfall here, or this stream, I should say. She's feeding into it. But I'm curious about what I'm actually finding attractive about it. So what I may do is raise it up, which cleans up the image slightly. There's a problem that that hasn't formed properly, because that would have been a nice picture. So what I can do is just move this around a little bit to try and work around the fact that that hasn't loaded, because that was going to be one of the major features in this. But that's the beauty with computer games, is I've got full movement, things that you wouldn't be able to do so well in real life. So you can pick your foregrounds. Still not enough detail there. That really is a shame. But we've literally just came out of the base. So there are many opportunities to find a good photo. One thing I struggle with is actually the mist in this game. I always, when I actually get it onto my mobile, because I edit these pictures on my mobile phone, and then I upload them to Instagram, and when I get to that stage, it's just it looks slightly washed out. So I need to learn to embrace that and use it properly. I wonder, actually, I was about to go that way, but I'm now thinking, let's have a look up here. I mean, I am, even though I've never done it, I'm pretty convinced most landscape photographers just go for a hike, see something beautiful. I mean, they will choose the time of day and the right lighting and that sort of thing, but yeah, they'll just go for a hike and look for things that inspire them or they find beautiful. And that's my plan for this evening. Although, I'm starting to think that may not be the best course of action. I'm still going to have a little experiment. And now, even though I won't use this frame, especially not with that, there we go. So this is a typical camera, which is, I can never remember the way around. I think it's a 3x4 because it's portrait instead of landscape. But you can use that to frame your pictures. And the reason I take this off is it's actually very difficult to crop the white frame out of it when you're in the when you're editing it. That's a cool little cinematic thing. But the advantage of taking the entire picture is that you can always take things out of a picture. Once you've taken it, you can't put things back in, so it gives you a bit of wiggle room. And then it is just a matter of remembering. So with me, what your original shot was, and with me, it's that rock at the top with the little mountain behind it. So that's the thing I need to remember, because that is what I'm going to be capturing. Now you do have a lot of features in here, so you've got your depth of focus and stuff like that. So you can set your aperture, which is down the bottom there, the focus, so where you want that aperture to sit. But being that I'm doing landscapes, then that's not particularly something I'd be interested in. I'm just having a look through, because quite often during the game, I didn't really explore this. Now, lens distortion and chromatic aberrations. Now, these are generally things you use in real photography. And I'm not a real photographer. I do have a camera, but I'm not very good at it. But yeah, if you get some distortions in that, then that's where you'd use those functions for. But we are just going to take a flat picture, a standard picture. So I'm just going to hide this and then capture it using the PlayStation capture function. And let's carry on our little explore. And this won't be a world completely devoid of life, simply because there are still some camps of people who will most likely want to steal my stuff. But predominantly, we've got this place to ourselves. I mean, not all of my streams will be virtual photography. It will have virtual photography in because I just can't help myself. But there will also be games that I've not played before that I do wish to. I mean, I'm contemplating Uncharted at the moment, number 4. So that may be an option. And the good thing about doing streaming on YouTube is my videos never disappear. So even if you miss my streams, they will still be on there. So for me, I think the sky is a little too bright. What I'm going to do, and this isn't a thing that you tend to have with landscape photography, but I am more interested in the mountains in the foreground than the white ones at the back. So what I'm doing, so the wider aperture means more detail in the picture. So if I bring it back, and I have it quite low, and that just makes it easier for me to spot where the actual sharpness is. Because when it's really blurred, or on full, let me get this right. Aperture is always an odd one to explain, but the wider the aperture is, so the wider the hole, the more focused it is. So the object that you're looking at is. So now I have it really, really small. I mean, really, really wide. The things in the distance are slightly blurry. I'll bring this closer to me as more of an example. So this is really, really close. So everything is very blurred. But as I move my focus back, you'll start to see a very small part of it coming into focus. So it's predominantly a little clump of rocks with some grassy rocks. So not the ones in the foreground, but the ones nearer to the lake. You'll see that getting sharper. Now I'm moving this back. The front becomes more in focus. And the back sort of blends a little bit. And that's really where I was looking for. So I'm just bringing a tiny bit of detail to the rocks. So where, oops, how's that for professionalism? So where let's see if I can get my hands in the right position. At the foreground, you'll see it going down like that, but they don't quite meet. So in between that gap, you'll see some little cliff face, let's call it, but it's quite shiny. So that's in focus, but the rest of it isn't. So that is what I'm going to capture. And again, I may make this a portrait picture, because I find that Instagram, you can't mix landscape and portrait pictures. It just, whichever is the first you chose, it dictates what all the rest will be. So I'm going to capture this shot, because it is quite interesting. And you don't always have to do whole landscapes either. It could be just some interesting rocks, a trickle of water, but you have to find the right ones, because when you have something like that, there's not really anything here that I can use. But with all this rock slide and so on, it's quite a messy picture. There's a lot going on. And you can crop it and work it that way. But really what you want is a fairly open area with the subject, the interesting thing. Help me. And then there's nothing competing for your viewers' attention. Yeah, there aren't any examples here. But again, we've literally just booted up the game. We're in the first area. And for those who have joined later, I should say this is a completed game. So I won't be playing any of the story because it's already done. I'm just using this to take photos and practice landscape photography. Within what I'm planning to do on my next stream, which will be next Friday, is to do street photography. And I think no virtual photographer would be surprised when I say I'm going to be using Spider-Man for that, because it is a fantastic game for it. Now, you can also, and I've had great results with this, use Red Dead Redemption, which falls both into the landscape category and the street photography category. It is, for its age, still a very good looking game. Sorry, I know I'm snapping pictures like no one's business, but there really is. Actually, what am I doing? It's, it's just some really good light at the moment, and that's what you do as a photographer. You're capturing light. So can I get what I'm looking for? Because what my main focus, you'd think it would be on the middle right, you'll see a large building, but it's not actually that. It's the crevice? Ravine? I don't know what you call it. But can you see the shadow and the light at the very middle of this picture? That's what my focus will be. Now I don't know. The light looks a little bit flat. I'm going to have a little play. No. A little play with the contrast and exposure. And I can't do anything to improve that. But I really like that shadow. And I will show you why I'm liking this. Again, won't be using this, certainly won't be using the writing, but it makes it stand out quite a bit more. So that's what I'm aiming for. But anyway, let's go back so that I can crop it and make it perfect in post-editing. Just going to move it in a little bit more. And then again, this is the important part of photography, is actually capturing it. And where it differs from real life is I've paused the game. No cloud's going to move in front of the sun. The shadow will always remain exactly where it is. And I've got time to work out what in that image I find attractive. So shadow, main point. I'm rather liking the rocks on the left. The ones on the right, a little bit messy. And there's not really anything I can do about that. Again, I can do depth of field. Move it right back. And what that does is it just draws the eye a little bit more. Because what I want you to look at is that shadow and light line. Yin and yang, if you will, or Tao Shi 2. I'm not interested in the buildings. I want that to be a secondary thing. So I want your eyes to be drawn to the center. And I'll also use, I always get this wrong, but vignette, I think they're called, that. And you can put that on to draw the eye further. I'm doing the very extreme version, but to focus the eyes in on it. Again, not doing it on here, because that's a pretty heavy hitting vignette. So anyway, let's chat. Just checking. I have varifocals. That's why you see me tilt my eyes back and so on. I'm just making sure that there's crispness in the bit that I need to see it. So let's hide this menu. Take the shot. And if you're interested, my Instagram for all of these photos is King of Etiquette. So the same as my YouTube. It's all one word, all lowercase. And in my socials on this page, you will see Linktree, which will have a link to it. It should take you directly there. And there are photos from many games on there, because I've been doing this since November or December, I'd say. And in my old stream, I was doing 3 days a week, and I was always switching games, so there's plenty on there. I mean, I'm not doing that on this channel. I'm going to be doing one stream a week and be taking photos throughout the week with my actual gaming time, my more personal time, where I can spend as much time as I want crafting the pictures and capturing the images that I'm really interested in. You'll notice I'm a sucker for lens flare as well. I love stuff like that. Now, I really like that cliff with all the seas in it, the really quite lovely curves to it, but I just don't think that makes a good photo. Doesn't quite frame right. I mean, we'll go back and re-examine it and possibly change angles, see if I can capture something more interesting. Because that's something I learnt on a lot of YouTube videos, is you can take a good photo, but if you just moved slightly to the left or slightly to the right, you could have taken a great photo. I am liking that more. I really wish someone hadn't built that structure on there. But, alright, sorry Sam. So that's pretty much the angle. So that loses too much. Let's just come out of that. Just so you know, he's whistling to this little dudette. And if you want to know why he has a baby strapped to his chest, you need to play this game. I am not going to give any spoilers. because it would be unfair to. And yeah, no, I'm not giving anything away. It's a great one. If you are a fan of Charles Dickens books, you'll fully understand the format. You will be able to stick with it and get to the really good bit. It's a masterpiece. And I am most certainly looking forward to the second bit. Now, you don't really come here this often in the game. And I know I said I'm doing landscape photography, of which that's quite attractive. But I am going to have a little look in there and see if I can capture anything. Because I know there's some really good contrast in there. So it's just something caught my eye over here and I'm trying to find it. Now again, I don't like how everything gets washed out a little bit. And this structure is a little bit obtrusive. However, if you use it properly, what I'm doing, hence having my head staring directly at you, sorry if I made you a little bit self-conscious, is I'm trying to use the lines on that chimney to straighten up this image. Now, the frame, that's pretty much what I'm going to be cropping, I think. Because that's a really interesting sky. And it may move slightly. Again, I'll have time to edit it. And eventually, I say eventually, hopefully, if I get enough viewers and subscribers and get the option to do streaming on my phone, I will see if it's possible to actually do mini streams of me editing these pictures before I put them on Instagram. But who knows what the future holds. So I'm going to get rid of this menu. And take the shot. Sorry, I was just checking the grid, which is a very useful tool. And let me see now. This isn't the only type of grid there are used in photography. Excuse me, you can get many different types, but this is the most common one, and it's known as the rule of thirds. How I had originally used this was I thought that it's kind of the points of separation, all these different ones, and I was using the spaces between the lines to capture images and what I thought was making things more interesting. But that's not actually how it works. So if you take this little rock here, now here in the center of the picture, that is the most focal point. Whereas without the grid, just to highlight, more likely your eyes be drawn to the rocks behind it because that's a bigger image. So, but I like that rock. So what you can do is put it on the intersecting lines, so the bottom right third. If you really liked those rocks, then you could have this on the bottom left, but they're still on the third. The green one's on the third. The grey one is sort of in the middle. I mean, I am rather liking that. That cliff is still grabbing my attention. I'm not going to take the picture because it's really, really messy, but well done, Hideo Kojima. You and your team made a beautiful game. And not just because I'm a sucker for Art Deco stuff like this. Now, these sort of conditions are perfect for mobile phone photography. Simply because you've got such stark contrasts. You've got really dark and great light. So things like this makes for good. It really takes the strengths of your mobile phone picture. Things like this. And raise it right up so you can use the shadows. Now what I tend to do is use pillars or sides of buildings, and I'm using that against, I don't know if I can successfully demonstrate, but using the side of the screen to set that up. Again, grid-wise, main interest is the very dirty but very interesting windows. I'm very tempted to put this pillar here as well. Let me move. Part of me wants to move this up a little higher, but I like how the bottom third is making you aware of the shadows and the light that's coming through that window. So again, just gonna grab that shot. I'm rather liking this being a landscape shot rather than portrait. Whereas this would be portrait. Yeah. I was wondering why everything was so slow. Yeah, I was still in photo mode. Really like that chandelier. But what I'm going to do is move to make this more of a diamond shape. Again. Now I'm not going to move up this time. And I may actually keep Sam in this picture. Because then he has relation to the... I've got him bottom left. So move this just... Do I want that more like that? Have it central and keep him on the bottom third? Well, bottom to mid third. Let's just get rid of everything. So I think it's allowing too much of the brightness from the back. So the entrances to it sort of detracts from it. And I don't have the version of Photoshop and or Lightroom that will allow me to edit that. So whereas that hides a lot of it. And I'm not averse to that. It's one of those situations where, yes, photography rules aren't the sort of rules that should be broken. But sometimes you've got to work with what you have. This is probably going to be a terrible mistake, but you've got to experiment. It's a part of being creative and not be the sort of idiot who presses the wrong button. So it was more like that, slightly along, and about center. So that was the button I was looking for. Now a lot of this picture will be edited out. It's most likely going to be a portrait shot with just the chandelier and Sam, and possibly some of the entrance on the right hand side of him. Yes, that's what I'm expecting. But then sometimes I get to the picture when I'm editing and it's just works so well as it is. When I was glancing, I rather liked that. So I'm just having a look at angles to see if this frames anything. No, there's nothing of interest there. Please excuse me a moment, I'm just going to have a sip of my drink. Just having another look. No, nothing there. Right, let's carry on our exploration. One thing I feel I should say is I talk a lot when I'm streaming. I don't generally talk that much in real life, but I talk a lot when I'm streaming. And even though with a name like King of Etiquette, manners are important to me, please feel free to chat and interrupt me. I will not be offended, and I'm here to entertain. So if you want to talk, or if you've got any questions, please feel free. I'm more than happy to answer as best I can.
You should have more faith in yourself.
You should have more faith in yourself. You are the most important person in your world. Now, isn't that astounding? And this is an area I haven't really looked at. Now, you'll notice some strange checkered marks over there, and that's because that's the boundary of the game. The invisible wall. Well, you may not notice if you're looking on a mobile phone, for example. But I'm just looking to see if there's anything particularly interesting, like those sweeping hills there. And again, goodbye, Sam. And I'm going to use the frame. It's not cinematic. So not so much brightness. Do I want that foreground? Because it can be a very useful tool. Something like that. What other ones have we got? So I don't want square. Don't want square white. No, we don't want love heart. Don't want diamond. That's kind of cool. But that's if I wanted to make posters. So we are just going to go for plain, and I'll do the crop myself. Let's hide that. Now I'm making it easy to remember this one, where I want to crop it, simply because it's dead center of the picture. Nice and easy to do. I actually think that's going to turn out quite well. Whereas not having it cropped, it's a fairly bland picture. But we've now established the extent where I can walk, so we need to double back on ourselves and then progress further into the map. But I'm always having a look around just in case, just for things to catch my eye.
Come on, Sammy boy.
You've got this, Sam. You've done amazing things, sir. And now it's just a chill photo moment. That wasn't just me, right?
There we go.
Never seen that in this game. That's kind of cool. Now I know I've done the bonus bit at the end. There is a potential for another cutscene, and I may try to, might as well, to trigger it. But that was very interesting. It was almost like a break between the two worlds. I'm going to see if I can go up there. I don't think I can, but I'm going to have a try. And you never know. I may spot something really attractive on the way.
Only gonna get harder.
Nah, man, you've done the hard bit, Sam. Totally got this. So this is, well, we're having a wander over there. This is pretty much what most people believe Death Stranding to be. Just a lot of walking around. But, as I say, it really comes into its own near the end. It's an astounding story, some excellent writing and delivery. And you won't see it coming. And I'm not saying that because I believe I'm the most intelligent man alive or anything like that, but it's just, yeah, you won't see it coming. It's possible to, but I'd be very, very impressed if you do. Now, this is purely a photo of light. You've got the contrast of the darkness. Actually, let's see if I can set this up better, but I've got to do this very quickly just in case the light changes.
Hello?
Wrong button. So what I'm doing is a bit of an action shot. I'm going back as far as this will allow me, which is about there. It's a shame I can't get it how I want it, but I'm going to set this bottom line as shoulder height. Have him in the bottom right. And again, this is going to be a portrait shot. So even though I'm slightly off center, it should come out pretty well. This would make a good poster picture. I can't demonstrate because it's off center and it's in landscape, but that is my thinking. So let's get rid of this grid. Grab the screenshot. I mean, one thing I may do, if I can work out how, is make a video for YouTube of this stream and incorporate the pictures into it. But if you can't wait that long, because I'm going to have to learn this stuff, because I wasn't happy with the how I did the Days Gone video that I have on here. Yeah, if you can't wait, then just check Instagram. I will try and do it after the stream, but if not, I'll edit them tomorrow or Sunday, depending on what life has to say. Now this is very washed out because of the weather, and sometimes that can really work to your advantage, but I don't really like it for a landscape picture, but for a contrast to really highlight the things that are coming off him, although I'm just having a look. round. Because one of the things with photography is framing. And the rocks are a good way of doing that. There are many examples that you can use. Oh, sorry, Sam. I may have to repose him, but I'm just wish me luck here. So, as I say, I didn't like the washed out nature of the rain and on the landscape, but it makes quite a nice muted background for a more detailed picture like this. And I'm not even going to mess with the aperture, I don't think, because I really like the moss behind his head. And there's not a great deal of detail in the rock in front of his face, and he's quite clear. And I'll demonstrate what I mean. I think this would be overkill. So let's blur that as maximum. Let's bring it back. Yeah. So the focal distance has completely changed. Right. So we'll have him really, really focused. And then we'll reduce the aperture slightly. Alright, massively. I'm just going to get rid of this, actually. So you've got the flex that I find very, very interesting. So again, I'm not going to give anything away about this game, but they almost look like cinders. Those I found quite interesting. And I like his face, I like the contrast. But what I've lost from doing this is the detail behind his head. And I haven't really gained that much as a result of doing this. So let's bring this all back. Let's turn that off. And I'm just going to remove this and take the shot. And now I have the fun of working out how to get down. And I'm thinking this way. I mean, I don't care about anything on my back. It's not cargo or anything like that, so I have full freedom of movement. I don't want to hurt my poor character, of course, but as you can see, he's able to do an army roll. Just out of curiosity, you can have a look up here. And I rather liked this area, but I have already taken quite a few photos of this. I don't know if I've taken one from this angle, because we've got some really nice textures with the tall grass. Cannot get it far enough. Maybe a bit higher. Because I don't really like the angle of the building. It does lose a lot of its look. Because it's leaning backwards, you see. So let's have a little look at... Where was it? I think it was here. Lens distortion. So that's going the wrong way. That's more your fisheye thing. Which is kind of cool. So I can't correct any of that. I don't have the height I'm looking for. So I'm not going to take the photo. Oh, actually. Before we leave this one, because it is quite a trek to get up here, actually. Just want a little... I just want to go back to a location. Now, there are photos of it on Instagram, but I didn't really give it the attention I felt it deserved. These make some pretty good pictures, just so you know. I particularly enjoyed this truck. And the photo I had taken was sort of this angle here. Got some good pictures of here as well. At least pictures that I enjoyed anyway. Whether it's good or not is purely subjective. Now, I just have to remember where it is. This way. I didn't really have that much of a look around this area as well. And there's a little storage box here, so let's see. Because while I'm here, it'd be rude not to. Are they real good? These guys. Oh my days. Actually. Don't need that. Let's just offload. Makes things a little bit lighter. But yeah, there's nothing in there that particularly interests me. And anything that grabs my attention? Nope. But what I'm interested in is out here. Now, I rather liked this corridor. I liked the green. I liked the darkness contrasting against the light. I'm not 100% sure I did the photo justice. But it is on Instagram, if you want to check it out. This is a longer climb than I remember. And can I? No, you can't zoom out enough. So yeah, very pretty scene. And a very nice story behind it as well. that is quite nice. Again, sorry Sam, you're not the star of this, but it's the light that grabs my attention. The light on this hill is what grabs my attention. Maybe bring this back a bit. I was trying to get rid of some of the, well, get rid of the gravestones. Because what I'm most likely going to do is crop it right down so I can't move across enough to be able to demonstrate it. But you've got the edge of the building which sort of curves down, and that could be a nice foreground for it. So if I, similar to that, got a nice little light beam there. That actually, again, this is going to be some clever cropping. There's not much contrast, so it's a little bit flat. So I think I may actually need to keep the angle and drop it quite low so I can get some more darkness into the picture. This is most certainly an experimental shot on, and I cannot guarantee it will end up on Instagram, but I rather like it. And I'm certainly glad I made the trek up here. I was wrong. I genuinely thought that when we were in the incinerator part, that this was behind the edge of the game, but it's not. And that's a very interesting rock. How can I use that? No, it's not going to give me much movement. That's a shame. Zoom quite close in. Let's drop it down to get rid of that building. And that makes this a very clean picture. Drop it a little bit more. So that's way too much foreground. And I'll get rid of this to show you what I mean. There's a little bit of building, but you'll barely notice it. That's quite a nice little picture, actually. I'm rather taken with that. See, this, now I'm closer, is actually fascinating. A lot of textures there. Not enough to take a photo. In fact, I think I already have a photo of that. Now, I did mention frames earlier on in this stream, and I'm hoping, make sure I know what jump is. I can. Let's see if this will allow me to do what I'm thinking. Which it does. I mean, it's a very loose frame, but it's really focusing your attention to what I'm interested in. And then when you have to add the grid in there, so move that sideways to make him central. You've got him outlined by the light. So he's got a shadow behind him. You've got this major frame within the structure of the building. Shame I can't go back more. And of course,
It's a long way down.
I didn't really want him to pose like that. But while he's posing like that, you can use this to frame him. I'm now regretting moving him where I did. Oops. So I just need to drop it back a little bit. So there are many examples that you can use. This is more of a contrast than anything else. So I would be more inclined to do that, which does wash him out a little bit. Something like that, and then increasing the angle could work as a picture. I'm not doing it because I don't think it's a great example, but just to show you what I was talking about with frames. It's one of the visual languages that, if you were interested in learning about, a photographer called Pat Kay, who is also on YouTube. I don't know if he streams, but he's definitely makes some fantastic videos, as well as being a professional photographer, of course. He has a whole series or playlist on virtual photography language that you would do well to watch. Now, I'm really keen on capturing this light. I think it's beautiful. But I'm not that interested in the buildings. But then I liked the scale of it, the size of it. I mean, not the buildings, sorry, the vehicles. And it's the sort of falling landscape that had my attention. At least I think that's what grabbed my attention. It's most likely actually the contrast between that and the rocks that I've now put, or the cliff face I've put in the center of the screen. But that, where I have the center square now, is what I find most attractive. Yeah. I do love that truck. I would keep that in there, but as you can see, this grass obscures things slightly. And again, I can't do anything in this camera mode, but I will be able to crop it and capture the essence of what I'm trying to do when I edit this afterwards. So,
Looks like a way through.
now we've had an explore and a look around and seen parts that I hadn't seen before. Gonna carry on further inland. I think that's the wind farm up there. Wish me luck, this is quite a sleeping decline. Oh, my wireless controller is telling me it needs juice. That's quite haunting. Now this is a trick I used to do a lot in Skyrim. Is just weaving to make it less steep, or reduce the steepness, I should say. And as in anyone who's played Skyrim, the best way to go up a mountain is keep jumping. That does not work with this game. And one of the things I'm doing at the moment is just looking for things that may make a nice picture if I can make the rain stop. And things that would make a good picture even if it is raining. So I'm now looking at these rocks. I'm now looking at that little clump in the centre there. See if I can get anything interesting out of that. No. And I may have a little explore up there, actually. I didn't really look that much around there. Okay, we have company. You most certainly have company. And this is when I regret getting rid of a lot of the weapons that I had. I was rather hoping that these areas would be cleared. I mean, they're over there, so it's actually not too bad. Oh, I would have expected this one to get caught up in that as well. Either way. Oh, hell no, buddy. You're not playing that game. Cannot get him though. So, just going to sneak away quietly. Oh. I wonder if I can... What I'm trying to do is save some of my ammo, but that doesn't look like a possibility. I can get this one though. Again, it's linked to this one. So he gets a grenade. Now these will always respawn, so all I'm doing is just clearing a path for myself. Where is that one? I think we're cool. Yep, we're cool. No, we're not cool. Get away with ya. Here we are. And suddenly you know how famous people must feel. Well, I want to thank this person for leaving us here. It will make my journey a little bit easier. Yeah, now we're cool. saying there's a bridge there, but it looks like it's out of order. Now we could do this. And for those that are interested, with this part of the game, so it's a completed game, there are still some deliveries for me to do. And that's why it allows you to continue. But as I say, I'm just using it to find some more pictures, find some new locations, and hopefully develop a better eye for landscape photography. I'm mainly doing that by going places I've just not been before. Because the obvious thing would to follow up to that location up there. But instead, I'm going this way. Excuse me. Just taking my time, having a look around. Seeing if there's anything here to look at. Now we're back in BT territory, and I don't expect any of you guys to know what that means.
Still got it.
So I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if I keep using terminology you're not familiar with. It's just a habit from streaming this for all those months. Actually, this is my first stream. I'm gonna take a chance just to check something, because I have an app called YouTube Studio, and I don't actually know if I can monitor this stream via that. So let's have a look. Content. Because I don't know how to manage this. I mean, on Twitch I would go to its website and check it there. Live. Okay, so it's not showing on here at the moment, so there's not really... Don't think there's any controls for this stream, so that's going to be a learning experience for me. Okay, let's have a look at YouTube actually, see what's going on there. Okay, so I can see my stream, and thank you for whomever is watching, and I really hope you're enjoying it so far. And don't feel you have to talk. It's great if you do, but there's no obligation whatsoever. This is about your entertainment, not about mine. So let's just close that. So can I moderate in here? That's the question. That is for another day. But we have learnt something today, and I think that's quite a good thing. Okay, so I'm just going to continue up here.
No one's home.
Only me, slightly smiling face loving the screen.
Thank you so much, Carl. Really appreciate it, mate. I'm glad you're enjoying it as well, because I'm just nattering away. But as I say, you know, if you just want this in the background, feel free. You're most welcome to. But I'm always happy for a chat. But yeah, this is my first ever stream on YouTube. It's kind of cool having an actual photographer here as well. So I've probably been chatting absolute rubbish, but it's my understanding, and it's what I look for when I take pictures. This game has an astounding soundtrack, and most of the tracks come from a band called Low Roar, which are well worth checking out. And roar as in a lion roaring. So let's see if we can get some nice forest shots. Because there's a little bridge there. I'm trying to go for that sort of misty, dreamlike image, so I think that the rain will actually work to my advantage. So I don't want Sam, and should be a way of turning off all these signs as well. There we are. Off. Showed order. Odec. No, Odradec, but even though I haven't used it, so that shouldn't be a problem. Straighten up that tree. Do need the grid. So I can't really drop that much more. It loses too much. So that's probably as much that I can get away with. I'm going to get that, but I just want to turn to my right as well. That's the beauty of nature. There's always something you can grab. Now what I'm actually going to focus on is the tree in the background between the two trees. So when I come to editing, that's what I'm going to try and capture. Because there's something about that I really like that I don't believe I'll be able to capture from here without coming out of photo mode and re-editing. I mean removing, and I may lose the angle doing that. So this is my thinking. Because that was the angle. Maybe frame it a little bit better. Because I can't move any further to the right. And just in case, as I said earlier, the difference between a good picture and a great picture is just a few inches or meters to the left or right. And sorry, Sam, I keep doing this to you, mate. So maybe not that extreme. Oh, get rid of the signs. And those signs can be useful in the the actual game itself, but most of the time they're quite annoying. I'm going to experiment with depth of field in quite an extreme way. What I want to do is have a very blurred foreground and not so much on the background. I mean, have a really sharp background, but that's just not working. How very annoying. I do still feel like I'm slightly too zoomed in. So what I'm going to do is just drop it down slightly. I want it to be a little bit more central. So a little less foreground. I actually quite like that. With the curve in the foreground. It's nicely blurred out. Trees are still there, but with the darkness of them, I think they should fade through some careful manipulation of light. I should be able to get what's in my head. Now, I did go that way in the game, so I'm actually going to go this way. See, that's beautiful. That really is beautiful. Let's capture that light before it goes. Especially with that tree as well. I don't even need to do anything with that. I'm just taking that picture. So, take pictures of forests, people. That's... I'm well happy with that. I've only managed to capture 2 similar ones. One was in Days Gone. I think the second was in Horizon Zero Dawn. Sometimes you get the perfect light and you've just got to take that photo. And as I said earlier, good thing about computer games, you freeze time in most situations. But when you see me play Division 2, you'll see me trying to work with ones that don't pause. Which for action shots is incredibly difficult when the subject of the action shot wants to shoot you. But that's for a future stream. Okay, so we've got bad guys here. So I'm going to skirt the edges. So another stream that I'm planning is actually playing Gran Turismo 7. And it's a great racing game. I will set up the steering wheel and everything and have a good old hoon around some tracks. But the replay has got one of the best photo modes that I've come across. Because it gives you so much freedom of movement. Okay. Many, many bad guys. Who always seem to be completely oblivious to the suffering of their fellows. Which is quite convenient. That should be enough. You're in the way. This is akin to having photographer pass. Uh-oh. There's always one. Okay, I think we're cool. No, we're not cool. Now, it's very important that I don't fall over and get dragged away, because I just do not have the ammo to be able to deal with what they can throw at me. We're pretty much out of the area, so I think we're safe on that. If you want to see some examples of what happens when you get dragged in there, again, Instagram. Just look for any Death Stranding. If you see some very black life forms that confuse you slightly, that's what happens when you get dragged in there. I mean, the detail in this game. Even the butterflies are beautiful. And they're the sort of things you just don't expect them to put much detail in, because when you're hooning around and fighting people, you don't really pay attention to them. Okay. Time to hold breath and very, very slowly creep away. Ooh. Is that option available again? No. Let's get my stamina back up. There we are. Very useful skill to have. Especially when you don't have much in the way of grenades. Sorry, the speech went really badly then. I was concentrating slightly. And these footsteps were from me from another playthrough. Or earlier on in the game. And this made for a good photo, actually. I was quite proud of that one. But I didn't explore further. Thank you, BB.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
I will explore further in a moment, but I know I do have some weapons in there. So what do I want? Oh, my private locker is empty. That's quite interesting. I did have a lot of weapons in my private locker. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I just saw an option that could be useful. And I am going to go for some level 2s. I'll go with 4. It's a lot to carry around, but there seems to be far more enemies than I had expected. And considering some of the things that I've made this guy carry, this is still a cakewalk for him. Anything interesting here, structurally wise? Nope. I'm just going to have a look around the corner here.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
And I know I'm playing it like Zelda, where there's always something to find, but you never know. I may luck out. Again, I'm rather liking the lighting. Not so much that. No, there's no corner. What's that look like? Not really anything particularly appealing. Are there any good angles here? Nope. But you don't know till you try.
Gotta work on those core muscles.
It renders the lens flare really nicely.
Oh, doesn't it just? I think this game's a masterpiece. It got criticised quite a lot. But they've clearly put a lot of effort into the looks, the sounds, the little details that you just wouldn't expect. And it's actually a really entertaining game. Or at least I found it so. A lot of the people who were watching me play it on Twitch were confused, but it's because they predominantly sort of dipped in and out. They didn't see every single stream, and of course I'm the one playing it, so I knew the whole story. Although I don't know how it's coming through for you, but I find the light's quite muted. I mean, I can fix it with temperature with a little bit more yellow into there. But that's how it's looking to me. I mean, again, I'm interested in the shadow that's leading up to him. And the shadow behind him as well. So to sort of frame him in the picture a little bit more. But I would like a little bit more warmth in that. But how are you doing, sir? I hope you're keeping well, mate. It's been too long since we've spoken properly. I mean, bear in mind
I
this is...
noticed the wet rocks earlier. Fantastic textures.
Yeah.
Yeah, the palette is a bit soft in places.
Hmm.
Skies can be a bit flat.
Yeah, that's it, unless there's clouds in there. But yeah, what I was going to say, before you respond to my question, is this is a public stream, and so, you know, when I ask questions like that, I am genuinely interested, but only share as much as you're willing to, or comfortable sharing.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. Weapons restriction.
So you're my first viewer on my first YouTube stream. That's perfect. Really is. Right, let's go up here. Because part of the reason I switched to YouTube is I didn't want people to have to get a Twitch to be able to watch me. And most people have YouTube. But I really appreciate your support.
I feel honored. It's a great landscape you're taking us through.
Oh, thank you, mate. Yeah, they did such a fantastic job. Oh, jeez. And it's quite a big game, and there are different areas of the map that have very different appearances. This was the most beautiful, the lushest. But they do have some fascinating landscapes. Whoever designed them really did their job. Oops. Oh no. Oh, thank you. Not today. So once I get out of the black bit, I'm pretty much safe as long as I don't encounter any more of those ghost-like things. Yeah, so this is going to be a weekly thing. I mean, most likely next week I won't play this. I'll be doing playing Spider-Man, because I wanted to do some street photography. Oh, that's a new beast. What was that? Because, yeah, I really got into taking pictures. Oh, my stamina is gone. I need to clear this area quickly. Whew. So what was that? That's a new one.
These comments are a bit laggy, though, about 7 seconds. I heard you mention street photography. Looking forward to that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they are. There's always the problem with streaming. So I can either go for top quality, but instant, well, almost instant communication. But yeah, you are looking for a good balance, so people in, like, out in the middle of nowhere in America where internet's bad, for example, they can still enjoy the stream. So it's trying to be as inclusive for everyone's situations, but it does mean that it's really hard for you to keep up with the conversation. But I'm generally pretty good at remembering what I had said, so I should be able to respond to you. But I'm playing Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 2 are two games that are fantastic for street photography. And also, who doesn't want to zip around New York like Spider-Man? Okay, really would love to ride that bike, but there's no way I'm getting that up here. Doesn't mean I'm not going to try, though. Come on, get that jump off. No. Okay, I can see why he abandoned it. Worth a try. Well, I'm actually really glad I came down here. It's one of those areas where you play it, you do the mission, and you never go back to. And I got those 3 pictures that I'm quite happy with. So the leading line shadow, I quite liked that. The beautiful light burst, and the tree framed by trees. I am slightly curious why these guys did the ladders there, but it must be because of this deposit, which is a useful resource for one of the items that I have on my back. Which I am about to use shortly.
You said you don't have Photoshop or Lightroom. What do you use for post-prod?
Oh, no, I don't have the full version. I've got the free version of Photoshop and Lightroom on my mobile phone. So that's what I use to edit them. But yeah, I can't do like masking and like specific blurs and that sort of thing. But it's still a fantastic bit of kit. Both bits of software. But you can also use... What's the other one? Give me a moment. There is another piece of software that's fantastic. And I'm going to stand next to this so you can hear the music better. Do I still have it? Snapseed. That's another good photo editor for mobiles. And this...
I use GIMP a lot.
Oh, GIMP. I'll have to have a look at that. Is it paid or is it free? Oh, I can just look, to be quite honest. GIMP photo editor. So photo room AA
Open source.
open source, perfect. So let's have a look. Ah, it's saying £1.79. Which, to be fair, is a pretty good price. Um, right. I've got that search saved. I think I found it. So thank you very much for that, mate. And you got to have a little listen to music while I was doing that. I feel like there's a picture there. Let's just pull back a little bit. No, there isn't. Can I climb up there? No. Right, what I wanted to do is drop that. And I should be able to... I was meant to be able to jump on it and ride it down, but it doesn't look to allow that. Ah, here we are.
Music. Low Roar is stunning. Discovered them from the music video you made.
Oh, you have checked them
Beautiful
out.
dark sounds.
Aren't they just astounding? I'm glad you checked it out. That tune is the entire reason I made that video. Okay. Give me a moment. Little Lou is a bit unhappy. And will continue to cry if I do not rock them gently. There's a little one. Cool. Right, let's stop soothing. We've only... So I generally... Well, I always stream between 8 and 10. So we are coming to the end, and I don't think you want to see at the end of the stream just being me rocking a baby. So let's see what else we can see. I'm trying to use the edge of that rock to frame this. I'll just make it a little bit more interesting. So possibly have that there. Lift that up a little bit. It's one of those situations where there's a rock in the way. It's stopping what I'm trying to achieve. The sky, again, quite flat. We're trying to link... So there's a tiny little curve in the river. Pretty much in the centre of the shot is what I'm aiming for. I was hoping to sort of frame it using the crook, but that doesn't quite work. And what I have in my head is smaller than that, so similar to that. That's the idea I have. I just wanted to be able to move it slightly round. Okay, let's get rid of that frame. And when I do that, just want to zoom out slightly more. And that just gives me a few more options when it comes to editing. Damn you, Ruck. Okay. I'm now trying to remember this map. Now, fortunately, this very large handprint has completely changed the map. So one of the most epic ways to die results in that. And that's pretty much all I'm going to give away about this game. Now that's quite an interesting angle as well. Sorry, Sam. This is not about you, mate. So... this will all be about the crop. So it's going to be the center of the image, but only really the top half and the rocks where they curve. They'll be in this. But because of its location, I really like the angle and how the picture forms. So I don't want to come out of this view, go higher and try and retake that. Because I'm really worried about losing what I already have. So I'm just going to remove this, take the picture. And there has been many shots that I've taken that I've ruined by keeping the HUD in there. And it's just hidden or cluttered up a picture and really restricted how much I've needed to zoom into it. And if there's anything that you see, and that goes to any viewer, just, I know, with a 7-second delay that may cause issues thinking about it. I was going to say, just say, stop, there's a picture there. We do have company. But we've got loads of grenades. But I always prefer the passive route, but sometimes they just do not give you an option. Some men you just can't reach, which is we got here last week, which is the way they want. Will they get? Now I'm quoting Guns N' Roses, but I'm pretty sure that's a quote from a film. Which is... okay. So that's quite nice. And again, it's the softness of the light that I'm rather enjoying. It gives it almost a dramatic feel. So this is going to be a bit of an experiment. Try and get him in the light a little bit. Where was
Rain
it?
on the lens -tasty.
Oh, I know. This So much detail in this game. It's absolutely crazy what they have achieved. And this is on the previous generation of consoles as well. Astounding. And how they did the music was it would just randomly just drift in. There's nothing that particularly triggers it after the first song that plays. And yeah, it was just so atmospheric and just always perfect. But there was no obvious thing that triggered it. And just to be cheeky, let's have a look at these guys. We'll zoom in, give them a cameo. And what I'm trying to do is there's a golden hand in the background, which again has significance in the game. It's such a cheesy shot. Oh, it's not going to let me do it either. Oh, that's annoying. Kind of got stuck. Oh, that's why. Nope, we may still achieve this. No, it's not going to let me. Shame. Yeah, there's no way I can particularly link that in. Oh no. Actually, have it in the top third corner. Sorry, I'm kidding myself. That's a terrible photo. Sometimes my sense of humour gets in the way of pictures. Sometimes it works very, very well. But these rocks, they're actually really fascinating. And I didn't really notice it before because I was running away from those guys. Oh, talking of which. Okay, this one definitely needs sneaking past because I don't... Oh no, I can. Again, that has significance. I'm not going to tell you about it. What's that sound? Oh. It's whatever that is. Now these actually have a very interesting effect when you try and take photos of them. You see they continuously move. And I have made a photo, or taken a photo of it in the past. But it's all based on how you move it, and I've never actually experimented it. I know we're coming to the end of the stream, so I should really be getting on with it, but I'm wondering if you can get something really spectacular out of it. I mean, I may be overly biased because I love the Browning effect. Or Brownian. I can never say it right, but I think it's the Brownian effect. Or, like back in the late 80s, early 90s, they used to do graphic demos that you could program, and they'd have like waves of tiny little balls, and that was me. Happy as Larry. I could, after spending 4 or 5 hours programming it, I could watch it for a further 4 hours. I was happy as Larry. But this, not a landscape shop, fully accept that, but that's kind of cool. And that will bring us to the end of the stream. So I'd like to thank you for dropping by my first ever stream. I hope you enjoyed what you've seen. I will be on next Friday with Spider-Man doing some zipping around the city and taking some photographs. I will get all of the photos that I've taken. I'm going to edit them and I'm going to put them on Instagram, which is exactly the same username, King of Etiquette, all one word, all lowercase. So you should be able to find me on there. And I'll either do that tonight if I've still got some energy, or I will get them done over the weekend and put them on there. But I do hope
Thanks,
to...
It's been really cool and a great journey.
Oh,
Look forward to the city.
mate, I look forward to having you there. And thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. And to everyone else, and to those who check out the stream after it's gone off air, welcome, and I hope you enjoy it. And I hope to catch you all in the next one. So have a great evening, have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye.